Hello, how's it going, guys? My name is Santiago Pérez, and today we're going to talk about two lessons plans that I made for the communities of adolescents and adults. So let's start. Alright, so this is the overview of the two lesson plans. For adolescents, we're going to focus on use of English. This is a community that's B1 according to the CEFR, and the topic is going to be manners. Now for adults, this is gonna have a focus on speaking. Um, this is a community that has a B2 level according to the CEFR, and the topic is gonna be debating. Class description for adolescents. So this is the introduction that I made for the lesson plan. Number one. So I have two sets of phrases. One of them is considered more polite, and the other one is considered more trivial. The idea of this is to get the students to inductively get which one is which. So for this, I'm going to read them aloud, each one of them. That's the introduction for the first lesson plan. Presentation. So here, I'm going to share some guidelines to perform a role play. And we're going to talk about today's topic, and that's going to be manners. So students here get to know that they're going to learn about manners. Now let's continue. Practice. So here I'm going to share some sketches. These sketches have empty speech bubbles, and the idea is to fill this in according to the set of phrases 1 and number 2. For this, I'm going to help the students, and they also have some specific guidelines to fill this in. Production. So this is the sketch that I was talking about. I have 3 of them, and I'm gonna assign 3 numbers to each student. So they're gonna be 1, 2, and 3. That means they're gonna have different sketches. I'm gonna require to fill these speech bubbles, and so that they make a coherent story. That's going to be the production. Now let's go with the assessment. All right, the assessment. So these scores are going to be assessed on a scale from 1 to 100. I'm going to consider the coherence between the set of phrases 1 and 2, the coherence of the story, the spelling, and the vocabulary they use. Now let's continue with the other lesson plan. Okay, so this is the class description for the lesson plan of adults. This is the lesson plan that has a major focus on discussion. So here, I'm going to present these 3 countries, and I'm going to talk about welfare. As you see, I have some pros and cons that I need to discuss about. So that's going to be the introduction also for my lesson plan. Presentation. So I'm going to ask various questions, and students are going to be randomly selected to answer those. Some of these questions are, which one do you think is the country that's doing the better job? Or how does it compare this country to your own country? And so on. Practice. Students are presented with a hypothetical case. They are required to orally perform an analysis of the proposed dimensions. So this is a problem case. And here students are required to do an analysis on some dimensions. Some of these dimensions are what are the characters in this problem case? What's the role of the government? What's the role of an individual? What's the role of a family? And so on. Production. So here, the students need to assume the role of a policymaker. They need to answer 4 questions. These are the what would you do kind. So for example, what would you do if only one family needs welfare? What would you do if the 100% of your population needs welfare? And questions like that. Now for the assessment. Here I'm gonna evaluate the student's capacity to show their own opinion, that is, following up others' opinions or contradicting others' ideas. It's also important that it's here students are engaged in a debate. So in order to engage them, I'm going to ask them which one is the country of your preference. They need to state their pros and cons, and students need to show up somehow that they can contradict others or following up on others' ideas. These are my references. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye.